She didn't run away from the world. She chose to leave it behind. No city noise, no safety, no second chances. Just a vast, untamed wilderness, and one loyal companion by her side. In a place where every sound could mean danger, and every step could be her last. Survival isn't just about strength, it's about trust. And in this journey, that trust will be tested in ways she never imagined. Stay with this story, because what begins as an escape turns into a fight for life itself. A young woman was driving alone down a long road, and beside her sat her loyal dog, looking out the window and taking in the scent of the wind. And this journey was not just an ordinary trip, but a decision, a new beginning where she was leaving behind the noise of the city, the pressure, and all the memories, heading toward an unknown wilderness where only nature would remain, along with her own struggle within herself. On both sides of the road, the scenery slowly began to change, the concrete of the city fading away and giving way to green trees and distant mountains. And with that change, something inside her was changing too. There was a calmness in her eyes, but within that calmness was hidden fear, because she knew she was going somewhere where she would have to rely only on herself. The dog would occasionally look at her as if it understood her emotions, and that silent understanding made their bond even stronger. After driving for a long time, she reached a place where the road ended and ahead began a dense forest. The trees were so thick and tall that it was impossible to see what lay inside. The air was cold and still. She stopped the car and sat there for a moment, her hands steady on the steering wheel, her breathing slow because she knew this moment marked the beginning of a new chapter in her life. She slowly stepped out of the car and the dog jumped out beside her. The two of them stood facing the forest. The air carried unfamiliar scents and strange sounds echoed from within, bird calls and the rustling of leaves. She took out some essential supplies from the car, a bag, water, and some food. Then she looked toward the forest. Fear was inside her, but she did not let it stop her. She took one step forward, and that single step became the beginning of her entire journey. The dog stood beside her, ready and alert. In this forest, they were alone. And within that loneliness began their story of survival. She slowly entered the forest, and with every step, the sounds of the outside world faded away, replaced by a strange silence filled with hidden noises, unseen movements, and an environment that forced her to remain constantly alert. Beside her, the dog carefully sniffed the surroundings, sometimes stopping and raising its ears as if it could understand every signal of the forest. The trees grew so dense that the sky almost disappeared and sunlight weakened by the time it reached the ground. That mixture of light and shadow created an atmosphere where every shadow seemed alive and every sound seemed to carry meaning. She held her bag tightly and moved forward, her eyes constantly scanning because she knew anything could appear at any moment, her breathing slow but deep as she tried to remain calm. Suddenly, the dog stopped and began to growl softly, its body stiff. Staring ahead, she stopped too and slowly looked forward. Something was moving behind the dense bushes, slowly but clearly. Her heart pounded and her grip tightened because she knew this was not ordinary movement. Suddenly, a massive wild animal emerged from the bushes, its eyes glowing, its body powerful. Its gaze fixed directly on them. Her body froze, unable to move because she knew any sudden action could put her in danger. The dog stepped forward and barked loudly, its teeth exposed and its eyes filled with defiance. The animal paused, watching as if trying to understand the situation. She slowly stepped back, her eyes locked on it, her body tense. Suddenly the animal moved forward, and in that instant the dog lunged ahead, barking fiercely. That moment of resistance caused the animal to hesitate. She took the chance and quickly moved behind the trees, the dog retreating with her. After a while, the creature slowly turned and disappeared into the darkness. She gasped for air, her body trembling, but she was alive. She knelt and hugged the dog, gratitude in her eyes because she knew this companion had saved her life. She stood up slowly and looked around. The forest had warned her clearly. There was no room for mistakes here. Every moment was a test, but now she was not alone. Beside her was her dog, and that bond would carry her forward. As the sunlight began to fade, the forest changed completely. The night forest was different. This was when the real predators awakened, and she could feel that truth as the sounds shifted into a heavy silence filled with hidden danger. She realized she needed to find a safe place for the night, scanning around until she found a spot beneath a large tree where roots formed a natural shelter. She quickly settled there and took out dry sticks and grass, her hands trembling but determined to make fire because fire was the only protection against the darkness. She struck stones together again and again, focused completely. The dog sat beside her but remained alert, ears raised, eyes fixed into the darkness as if hearing things beyond human perception. Finally, a spark caught and a small flame grew, spreading light. Pushing back the darkness slightly, she sat by the fire, warming her hands, her body calming but her mind still alert. Suddenly, the dog growled again, staring into the dark. She looked up and saw glowing eyes watching them from a distance. Her body tensed, but she did not break. She held a burning stick forward and stayed still. After some time, the eyes vanished into the darkness. She took a deep breath. Realizing they had avoided another danger, she looked at her dog and placed her hand on its head. They were not alone in this forest, but they were together, and that togetherness was their greatest strength. As the fire burned, they prepared to survive the night because this journey was only beginning. Morning light slowly filtered through the dense leaves, pushing back the night but not removing the danger. She sat beside the ashes, tired but determined. Knowing she needed food, she stood and searched, listening carefully. The dog began tracking a scent, moving low and focused. Soon they found small animal tracks, fresh and clear, hope rising but caution growing. Following the tracks, they reached a narrow river where water flowed gently. She knelt and saw small fish, potential food, but also risk, because water always hides danger. She took a long stick and carefully struck, missing at first, but not stopping until she finally caught one. A small smile appeared on her face, but suddenly, the dog barked loudly. She looked up and saw movement in the water, a massive reptile rising slowly, its cold eyes fixed on them. She froze but quickly backed away, the dog moving with her. The creature watched before sinking back into the water. She exhaled deeply, realizing the river had given food, but also revealed danger. She held the fish tightly and looked at the dog. They were alive, and in this forest, every meal had to be fought for. Returning into the forest, she realized survival required more than food. She needed shelter. She searched for a higher ground with natural cover and began building, collecting branches and leaves, her hands tired but determined, the dog helping by bringing small sticks. Slowly, she built a structure and covered it, finally creating a small shelter. She sat inside with the dog, feeling relief for the first time, but soon the sky darkened and wind rose. A storm approaching. She secured the shelter and pulled the dog close as rain began, heavy and relentless, the structure shaking. She held it together with all her strength. Suddenly, part of it began to collapse, but the dog moved forward, blocking the opening with its body, giving her time to fix it. With her last strength, she secured it, and slowly the storm weakened. She collapsed, hugging the dog, tears of relief in her eyes, realizing survival required not just strength, but trust. The storm passed, but their bond grew stronger. This journey was not just survival. It was about connection and fighting together. The next morning felt strangely calm, but she knew danger always followed peace. She decided to go deeper into the forest to understand it better until she realized she had lost her way. Panic rising, but she controlled herself. Suddenly, the ground beneath her gave way and she fell into a hidden pit. She struggled to climb out, slipping but not giving up, the dog trying to help. Finally, with all her strength, she pulled herself out, collapsing on the ground, breathing heavily but alive. She hugged the dog, realizing her greatest strength was not just her courage but her companion. She stood again, lost but not defeated, because in this forest, being lost did not mean the end, following it deeper until they reached higher ground and saw a large river below. Hope returning, she carefully descended despite the danger and reached the water, drinking deeply. Strength returning, then she noticed a dark opening among rocks, a cave, curiosity and caution rising. She approached, threw a stone inside, hearing nothing. Slowly entering, the air cold and damp, darkness growing, touching walls. Then she saw bones beneath her feet, fear rising, claw marks on the walls. Something had lived there. She stepped back out, breathing deeply, realizing the forest was not just survival, but mystery and danger. She looked at her dog, understanding she had learned enough. This journey was not about conquering the forest, but understanding herself. She turned back, following the river. Days passed, and she finally reached the place where her car waited. She stood still, remembering everything, placing her hand on the car, closing her eyes, breathing deeply, her dog beside her. They both knew the journey had changed them. She got in and started the engine. The road opened again, but she was no longer the same. She now understood fear, courage, and survival. As the car moved away, the forest disappeared behind her, but remained within her. And that story would never end because it had transformed her, and that transformation was her true victory.